They say it's the most wonderful time of the year. That may be, but is it just me, or is it also the most stressful time of the year? I know it's not just me. We're in some anxious times. It's the season, it's the world, whatever it may be. Today's knowledge drop, we're going to give you 5 very usable, approachable strategies to ease anxiety for yourself, for your kid, for your classroom at today's drop. We can't really approach the topic of relieving anxiety without using a word that's become a buzzword lately, and that's mindfulness, okay? And for good reason. These are a series, a plethora of different practices from different traditions, kind of modernized into a very accessible format. And there are so many avenues you can take. You can go formal, you can go informal, you can go directly to the ancient traditions, you can take things that have been modernized and made very accessible. So we're going to present a couple that we think are in the accessible category. Number one is an app that we've mentioned before. No, we are not on their sales team, okay? But we love them. That's why we talk about them all the time. There's an app called Headspace, okay? This was found by a former monk, and when he came back to the West, he decided he wanted to glean those ancient traditions for those practices and put them into a very accessible format for today's modern Western humans, okay? And so what you have are a series of guided mindfulness meditations, very calm, very relaxing. I've recommended these to students and to parents and to other friends, and I'll tell you what, they are very, very relaxing, and it's almost like you've gotten a 2-hour nap when you do one of those 10-minute guided meditations. It's fantastic. Okay. Another one we're gonna present today is a more active form of mindfulness, and these come from a family of exercises called cross laterals. Now, I've been teaching these to students for years, at least 17 years. Okay, anywhere from kinder all the way up through adults when we work with teachers. Okay, so in short, a cross lateral is any exercise that forces your body to cross the midline, the midsection. Now, there's lots of brain research behind this about enhancing your hemispheric connections and things like that. That's not today's topic. Today's topic is another side benefit of cross laterals, and that's it brings your mind into focus, kind of a one-pointed focus. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a simple one called the finger walk. Here's what you're going to do. Ready? All right, you're going to get frustrated too, by the way. I want you to stick with it, okay? All right, so one hand like this, the other hand like this, okay? Let one of your hands drop so that your pointer finger makes contact with your thumb, okay? See this shape? Okay, now we're going to rotate the thumb that's on the bottom, rotate that thumb up, and then connect it with the pointer on the other hand. And so now the connection that's on the bottom, release it, okay? And then just repeat. Now this bottom thumb is always going to swing back around to the top. Okay. Disconnect. Rotate. Connect. All right. And then you can gradually get a little bit faster. Get a little bit quicker. Okay. When you practice, it starts to look like this. Okay. Hence the finger walk. Okay. Now, if it's hard at first, that's because you don't have those neural pathways ready. That's okay. We can also teach this as a way to increase growth mindset. You can talk about the synapses and how those connections are being created. But really what I found, and this was accidental, I used to teach this as kind of like a neural enhancer for my young students. And what I found was they were using it spontaneously to relax. So before tests or in anxious situations, I would notice them just kind of on their lap finger walking, right? Because it requires that focus. You have that physical touch aspect, so you're incorporating some senses. And the finger walk can be a very effective way to kind of ground yourself, okay? Practice it yourself. Practice it with your child. I tell kids, start off really simple. 30 seconds a day as you're falling asleep, okay? 1 minute, 2 minutes a day. Maybe you're in the car on your way to practice or picking up sister from dance or whatever it might be, right? And another way you can frame it is it's kind of like secret Jedi mind training, right? It's one of those things that, oh yeah, once you understand the implications and what's going on in the brain, it's kind of cool to think of it and frame it that way. Okay, got it? A couple of quick techniques. There are a million more, tons of resources. We're going to give you a few right here that we recommend, but those are two really practical ones you can literally teach your kid or yourself today, and we think it'll help. Number 2, the second way to thrive in anxious times is thought experiments that generate perspective. Okay, there's one famous one that we always go to, and it's called the pale blue dot. Okay, this references a famous photograph taken by Voyager 1 in 1990, and the cosmologist Carl Sagan saw that photo and made some very insightful commentary that's really powerful. So basically what you see is a pale blue dot, and it's the Earth. Okay, and it's the Earth. Now, the way Carl Sagan frames this is a perspective creator. So basically, I'm summarizing and paraphrasing here, but every single war that has ever occurred in the history of humanity, every single triumph of humans, every, argument, if you want to get more micro, every marriage, every human event that's ever been conceived or occurred on planet Earth has taken place on that teensy weensy tiny blue pale dot. And kind of when we understand the immensity of the cosmos, the idea here is that kind of the trivialities of our mundane world can kind of melt away, or at least come into perspective. Now, you have to be a little bit careful. We work with gifted kiddos, and we know that sometimes with those overexcitabilities, you don't want to send them into an existential crisis, right? Because then that perception of insignificance may turn the wrong way. So just be careful, be gentle. It's intended not as a depressor, but as an uplifter, like feeling your place in the cosmos, okay? So that's the pale blue dot by Carl Sagan. You can read the original quote here. It's pretty deep. It's cool stuff. Not bad for a scientist, right? Okay. All right. Number 3, another one we've mentioned before, but there's a reason some of these things keep coming around. There's a simple exercise called a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, I know. Sounds like something General MacArthur read as he ate breakfast. Bullet shells, right? All right, no offense to generals. I know you don't really eat bullet shells. Okay, so SWOT analysis has nothing to do with the military. It's a cool heuristic for kind of objectively assessing your situation and clearing some mental space. Maybe redefining your approach to the situation. So as you can see, it's a grid system, all right? So SWOT, each of those stands for something. So what you're going to do is state the situation or the problem that you're facing right now that you kind of want to get some clarity on. And you use that grid as a way to put on different filters and process the situation through those different filters and as objectively as you can. And what happens is when you finish that process, usually you've unlocked or removed or cleared away some space to kind of have a fresh approach. So you're going to look at what strengths you're bringing to the situation, what weaknesses. So these are kind of like internal, right? What strengths and weaknesses or drawbacks do you personally bring to the situation under consideration? Opportunities and threats, that's the O and the T. Those are kind of external factors. And even distinguishing between these internal and external factors in a situation, even just that can be a huge booster to kind of bring some clarity to the situation, okay? So if you're feeling stressed out, number 1, try to identify some particular aspect of that anxiety. Like, is there a situation, a relationship, a problem you have on your plate right now? The SWOT analysis grid, you can find it online. It was developed by the Stanford Research Institute way back in the 1960s, and it's still around. It's simple and it's useful, okay? All right, number 4. This one kind of gets me. I have really mixed feelings about it, but it's such good advice. You might have heard the phrase, how do you eat an elephant? You know the answer? One bite at a time. Now, I just have to state for the record, I don't even eat meat, and the thought of eating an elephant is absolutely atrocious. However, there's so much wisdom in that statement that I've used it with students that I coach all the time, okay? and with myself. In fact, just today, I was feeling so overwhelmed with my to-do list that I brought my mind back to this piece of wisdom. And if you chunk things out and savor the tiny victories, okay, you can get through it. You can get through it. So you eat the elephant one bite at a time, no matter how monumental the task. How is that task going to get done one way or the other? A piece at a time. So just focus on the next piece, okay? You're going to write a book. All right. Focus on, is one chapter too overwhelming? All right, let's focus on a page. Too overwhelming? All right, zoom on down to a paragraph. A sentence, whatever it takes. However big that bite needs to be for you to take it, that's how you got to break it down. This can be a heuristic for kindergartners all the way up through PhD students working on their doctorate, okay? Very sound advice. Finally, I have to go out on a very warm note, and this has to do with, it's a little bit counterintuitive, right? You're feeling anxious. Your instinct wouldn't be, one way to relieve your anxiety is to spread kindness. But as a matter of fact, a 2015 study in cooperation between Yale and UCLA found that participants who gave 2 acts of kindness a day had stress and anxiety diffused. That's all it took in that study, was 2 simple acts of kindness a day, and the measurable aspects of stress had reduced. So in that study, they attributed it to dopamine. Okay, and there's kind of a name to this, and it's called a helper's high, where helping others actually has that reverberating effect back to yourself and your own physiology. It's pretty amazing. Okay, now those were 5 that we think are very easy and accessible. 5 ways to help you get through this or any other stressful season. But you know what? We want to hear from you. Let's crowdsource this a bit. Would you mind sharing or commenting a nice anxiety relieving strategy that you've come across? Because we want to create kind of a little compendium, a little database that can grow and that we can share ourselves. All right. Thanks for watching this knowledge drop. Have a happy season, and we'll see you next time.